What's going on, fishy friends? The weather's warming up. I'm starting to get a tan already, man. I'm getting excited. Uh, Fishing is very much in a transitional state right now, and I'm going to go ahead and just bring on Captain Tom Weaver because he can probably tell us the most about all of the transitions we're dealing with right now. How you doing, Captain?
Oh, I'm doing good, Grant. Yourself?
I'm doing really well. I've been out 2 of the last 4 days, two of the last 3 days, and man, I'll tell you, sometimes when I'm out there on the water, whether it be my boat or someone else's boat, you can't help but just sit back and call yourself lucky.
Yeah, man. No, I paid my dues today. I pulled my boat yesterday morning and been in the dusty boatyard for today and yesterday, and full service, annual service goes back in tomorrow morning and back at it.
Back at it, yeah. No rest for the weary, huh?
But they scrubbed up pretty good. My hands are all covered in bottom paint and wax and grease and oil from the engine.
You did it yourself?
Oh yeah.
Man, I got my guy right there to my right, or I guess on my left in the screen. That's a real fisherman right there.
Yeah, no, I do my own, and then I had Chris Meadows pulls my motor completely apart, and we put it back together again. Did 1,000 hours on it this year, and so yeah, she just had a 1,000-hour service and looks pretty good. So we were happy with that, and ready to go.
1,000 hours on that motor. How many hours do you think you got on that hull?
Well, the hull's an 84 hull, so I've had it 9 years now, and so probably 9,000 hours, right?
Man, I got to tell a quick story about you, Tom. Is the first time I ran into you out in the water, Lady C and I were down there. It was during that whole redfish bonanza in late summer, and I look over and I'm like, man, I hope you don't mind, Tom, but I was like, man, that guy needs to clean his hull.
I cleaned it today.
and then I was like, what's he doing getting all up on me? And then I look up and you were like, hey, Grant. And I was like, oh, shit, it's Tom.
Well, my good friend of Joe Evans, Captain Joe Evans, gave me a secret formula. You know, we put that FSR on and it's bright white, in 10 seconds and stays bright white for about a hot minute in the water. And he's given me this secret formula I put on today. So I was going to leave a little patch, and I think probably just the way it was hot and I wiped it on. There'll be a little, but we're seeing if brown stain won't appear back on that.
All that brown, Captain, is character. That's right. Time spent on the water.
I have a friend of mine, she does paint jobs and everything. She said, I'll paint your boat for free. I'm going to paint it like a Chesapeake Bay brown.
All you got to do is put it in the water.
That's right. It's brown.
Well, let's not linger anymore. Let's jump right into the 2-minute bite. What's biting? What are you using, and what's your technique?
So, what's biting is what we're trying to get to bite. Speckled trout. The water temperature just climbed up. To be fair, in our area, it's a bit of a long shot. I got them early May last year, but we got a lot warmer temperature. So targeting speckled trout, I go very shallow, structure, and current. The three things I'm looking for. A lot of where the grass beds would be in a little bit of later summer are not grass, they're all sand right now, but that's heating up and getting a lot of warm temperature in there. So structural drop-offs, corners and points of land, and with a little bit of a deep ledge next to it so they can retreat to that. Looking in there. Bigger baits. I'm using sort of, the 4-inch paddle tail because for specks I might go down to 3 in the summer. But I'm using, 3/8 and 1/4-ounce jig heads and a 4-inch paddle tail and sort of searching with that and some small jerk baits.
I got a question. Those 4-inch paddle tails, how many of those are just scattered around your house?
I just got a box with, I think there's 2,000 or 1,500 of them in that box over there. Scattered around the house. My daughter uses them as bath toys.
I was about to say,
Without the
I
hook.
was about
No
to say,
hook.
does your daughter? I mean, your daughter must play with them, right?
Yeah. Hi, Imogen. She's probably watching. She's somewhere. Yep, they're bath toys. She plays with all her little fishies, but her penchant is for the purple ones. Purple glitter is her favorite.
My daughter, I took her to a local tackle shop, and she found one of those giant 12-inch paddle tails, purple glitter, and it was her favorite toy. I mean, she had that thing.
Bath
What's
toy.
that? Perfect toy.
Bath toy. Sits in the bath with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you're using smaller baits. You're
Well, they're bigger baits for specks. I mean, I would probably
right.
use 3-inch baits and things. And so typically right now, we're going to get bigger specks. The ones that are coming in are bigger, on the upper size. So bigger baits and trying to get to those guys.
Well, I don't know where everyone is tonight. Can someone in the chat tell me, is that Rascally Rabbit, Lenny Rudo doing something tonight? Because maybe it's still light outside.
It's 80 degrees and it's light out. I had to run down the little, where next door to get myself a burger and a beer before I came on and at the pub, and it was heaving outside. Fortunately, nobody was inside, so I could get a burger and a beer and get over here.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is that time of year when you're out on the water. You still need a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
And the moment you get on land, you burn up.
Yeah. Come after leaving in the morning all bundled up like this, and you come ashore, they look like you're an alien, and you're like, well, it's still cold out there,
Big bag of clothes with you. Well, we're still going to do a prize for question of the night. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those shows where a lot of people are watching the replay, because I think you're right. People are out fishing right now. But we have a couple of old school. I always get this mixed up. Couple of old school baits. This is a jerk shad in gold digger color. I think that would work pretty much wherever you fish. And this is a little bit different. I think this is probably more of a largemouth bass, but it's a drop shot in Tangier sunset color.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
My daughter should log on and win that for her bathtub.
There you go. Well, next time I see you, I'll give you some of these for Imogen's bath time. But that's going to be the prize for question of the night. Big Vince says people are out fishing. I think you're right, Big Vince. I was just out fishing until about an hour ago, and as much as I love doing this, I was a little bit.
If my boat was in, I'd have probably been out there doing this from the water.
yeah, doing it from the water. We had a captain
on land.
CL Marshall did his report on Tuesday from his boat.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Well, so we know we're talking about specks, and I think that should be the topic, since really that's what we can legally target right now on the bay.
For the next 2 weeks, we've got, specks. So I've done a couple of pickerel trips in the past 2 weeks and several speck trips. The pickerel bite, it got warm, and we got a few. We got 1 or 2 on each trip, but not what I was hoping for in the spawn, because right now the pickerel is spawning, but it warmed up in the creeks really fast. Last week was 70 degrees. And
so what does that do to the pickerel bite when the creeks get warm?
Well, there's we all don't catch pickerel in the summer, and people ask me why all the time, and I'm like, I don't know. And the one story I've heard, and because it's same freshwater and brackish, and they go to the deepest part of their little creek and they sit on the bottom and they eat once a month. And they're the most active in the winter. In the summer, they're very lazy and slow. And, we catch them very occasionally. But if you target pickerel in the summer, you're not going to catch them. And I think when it's just warmed up, pickerel bites over. Last year, the same thing. It shut right down on me like a switch. Go out once you've done 3 or 4 trips and, you're getting 6 or 7 fish, 8 fish, and then light switch goes off. I didn't have a crazy good spawn pickerel bite this year. I probably was scooting out into the bay, doing more trips in the bay because the weather was nice. And, where the ones where you see all these pickerel all bit up because they've been biting each other and, in their spawn and fighting. I just didn't get that many fish. I was getting 2 fish, 3 fish, and they weren't as aggressive. And so,
well, you almost didn't have to this year with that, open water rockfish bite we had.
Well, we had the open water rockfish bite, and now I'm running down. I'm like, guys, it's 75 degrees and 3 knots of wind. Would you rather go up the river and do pickerel, or you want to go and chase a speckled trout down a bit further out in the bay? And they're like, let's go do that. And so running out into the bay more. So yeah, and that once the bite turned on up here in March, I did very few pickerel. Yeah, I had to do a few because they were booked pickerel trips, even on the nice days. But in general, that distracted us.
So, you've been doing this for a long time, Tom. Based on your experience, with years past when we've had a warm winter, what do you think we can expect in terms of the speckled trout bite? And, should it heat up sooner, or what's your expectation with that?
Well, so couple of things, and the speckled trout, we always have the fear, or whatever you want to call it, of a freak, because they don't go very far. They go to Virginia Beach. They don't really get out of harm's way. And we catch you caught some at the power plant. They're hiding there all winter, and a big freeze can really wipe out the mid-sized population. I'm not sure about the really big ones, but it definitely hurts the sort of middle-sized population. They all float up dead, and there goes our. And I think speckled trout, when they're, 25 inches long, are probably 4 years old. They're not super old fish, and so all those 16, 18-inch fish are probably 2 or 3 years old. And when they get a big freeze, it can wipe them out. Now, we had that one really brutal freeze right around Christmas or right around New Year's. And from the reports, it wasn't terrible down there in Virginia. They didn't all float up. So with that, the rest of the winter was so mild, they're going to start getting so hopefully we had a lot of fish in the bay, the mouth of the bay to start with. So Elizabeth River's been good. They've been catching some really nice fish down there. And as it warms up, these guys are going to come up here and spawn. And that's why we get the bigger ones come up here first. And the early May bite for me has always been what I look forward to. But I'm fully booked last week of April, fully booked every day. A lot of fly guys, and we're going to go try to pick them off.
I think you will.
Yeah,
Tom. I think we're going to see a picture of a Maryland speckled trout in the next few days.
I agree. Yeah. Tangier Sound and that area,
Yeah. Walleye Pete and I placed a bet that, a gentleman's bet, that the first speckled trout on his boat would be caught on April 15th. Now, I said the 15th, and then he played Price is Right rules and said the 16th.
Right.
That's cheating. So we'll see, but I think that's probably, given the warm winter, my very amateur prediction is going to be in the next day or so.
My last week of this April, last 8 days are full, and everybody's jumped on it. I'll probably trend a bit further south, particularly with the fly guys. But yes, I caught them early May near Poplar Island last year, and it was not the water temperature. I mean, I say early May. It's probably May 7th or 8th last year was my first speckled trout.
I want to get to water temperature in just a second. On a 4-inch paddle tail.
Yeah.
I want to get to water temperature in just a second, but Corey asked a question a while ago, and I wanted to get that in. And Corey right now is the only contender for question of the night. So, guys, if you want a couple of really nice Maryland-made soft plastics by our friends at Old School Tackle Company, ask a question. But Corey says, first year fishing in the bay. Welcome, Corey. You found a magical place. Fish coming out of the Middle River. What area is considered Upper Bay?
Above the bridge.
That's what
I obviously fish above the bridge. I mean, I think above the bridge is, and maybe a bit further, above Love Point or whatever, but above the bridge is Upper Bay. I consider the Bay Bridge sort of power plant, to Taylor's Island, the middle portion, and then further south is the lower. We call it Lower Bay, Lower Maryland portion of Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah. And Tom does our Upper Chesapeake Bay fishing report, but I mean that's just because out of everyone that all of our correspondents, he fishes the Upper Bay more than anyone else. But you're from July on, you're probably not in the Upper Bay. I mean, for July, August, September, you're down in the Lower Bay a lot.
Yeah, I avoid the Upper Bay, shenanigans. It's not fun for what we do, but it's consistent for what those guys do up there. Right now, or I say right now, but right now they got the shad and everything going on at the Susquehanna, and they had a great bite for the big rockfish off the shore on the Susquehanna, plus the good stuff that was going in. So Susquehanna was good in the open areas up there.
That's really good to see too, because that area's had its trouble with muddy water and
right. Despite what was going on down here in Middle Bay, you could quote. Were you out the day? I'm just going to interrupt one point here, which really brought it home to me. I mean, I'm out there every day, and then late, probably the third week of March, there'd been me and two or three other guides, and maybe a couple of wreck boats. We're out there every day, 4 or 5 boats every day. We're getting on the fish. It's going great. And of course, we're Instagramming them. And the word must have got out. We were just saying open water bite, but it was pretty obvious where we were, I suppose. And on a Tuesday, I go out with a group, and I believe it was the Monday. It was pretty shitty on the Monday, and there were 4 of us. And on the Tuesday, beautiful day. I mean, the first really, really nice day, upper 50s or whatever. There were 60 boats.
Mouth of Eastern Bay?
No, we were actually out near more Bloody Point, not in Eastern Bay, Bloody Point area.
Yeah, the mouth of the Eastern Bay. I know exactly because I was there.
Yeah, so there were 60 boats. 50 of them were jigging, and 10 were trolling. I mean, to me, that swing from 10 years ago, you'd have 2 or 3 jigging, and everybody else would have been trolling around in a circle. So the big shift on that particular day, everybody who could get their boat in the water, scramble or whatever, bite was on. And I'm not saying that everybody caught fish, but there was certainly plenty of fish getting caught. And there were 60 boats, and 50 of them were light tackle fishing, which really goes to show the big swing. It's happening. The change is happening in the bay.
Yeah.
And getting away from sitting on the school of fish up in the Upper Bay that Corey talked about. So all summer, buddy, you're going to have a nice pile of fish to go live lining on. Right on Middle River, go straight across the bay. Late June, early July.
Never a bad thing when you spread out the fishery. It's a good thing. Speaking of live lining, it's almost like you read you were practicing ESP or something. My buddy Rich Burgee says, do you think live lining will pop off earlier than usual with the warm weather? So
here's what's going to happen. And on my speckled trout trips, I'm sort of stumbling across some other fish that are on the move. And I don't know if that's earlier or not. I think it's getting close, but I think they're going to come out of the rivers. They came out of the rivers in the 3rd week of May and started moving north. And they moved pretty quick. So most of the guys are trolling early. I think you could see the bulk of the fish at Love Point in middle of May. And then a week and a half later, by June, they're going to be around the corner of Colchester. And Dolphins, here's the deal.
Go ahead.
Dolphins were in Eastern Bay in March, and I ran into them several times, and they're going to push that bait up, and they're going to push the fish up with it.
Yeah, I have no issue with let me say this: I'm not a live liner, but for folks that are live lining out there, follow the regulations, use a circle hook.
Yeah. So basically, the pattern's going to be the same. It's just, I think the question was, what was his name again? Question was correct. Is it going to happen earlier?
Yeah, Richard Ritz. Yeah.
Yeah, Rick. Everything is going to happen a little earlier. Everything I'm seeing is a week or two earlier. Yes, it's going to just come out, start moving. The water temperature's up, and that's what drives it. Then And I think it's the dolphins that push everything north. They're already here, so everything's pointing to a big hike up north for the majority of the school when they come out of the rivers.
So before we got to a couple of questions, and guys, you still have about 2 minutes to get your questions in for the prizes. But before we got to those questions, I wanted to talk about temperature. Everyone kind of talks about, a lot of captains talk about 52 degrees being the magic number for a rockfish. Have you come up with a magic number for a speckled trout yet?
I'd say 60. Once I get consistent 60-degree water, I think that's the number. And then when we go into the shallows, where in the mid-afternoon it bumps up 7, 8 degrees or warmer. I sent you a photo of last week.
Oh yeah, let's look at those.
So last week 69 point something degrees, over a week ago. And I'm like, good God, there you go, 69.9 in 4 feet of water. And I'm like, there you go. We're going to find some good fish in that, So that was early April, 69.9 water temperature.
That's crazy. I mean, that's 5 or 6 degrees above ahead of schedule, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you had a couple of other pictures here.
This just in case. This is a just in case. Those big fish are still around. Come May the 1st, and you're still trying to catch them. So that first picture there is probably, I believe that's in about 75 feet of water. That's my side scan. I zoomed it in to sort of help. And we call it the Swiss cheese effect. And there's a pocket which I've circled, but on the left side, there's 3 or 4 pockets. That is solid bait under the boat and stretching out to the side. And that particular one that I have circled, you can see the rockfish that's in it. Now, we dropped a jig down and caught a 46-inch rockfish right there, whether it was that one or one of the others that are nearby. But we're seeing individual rockfish in the bait as we're cruising around on the side scan.
That's really cool.
Directly under the boat, there is the same sort of shot against deep water, 70 feet of water. I can see, I can definitely see 2 rockfish there, one under the boat, one out to the left, and just below was another couple. So there were 4 fish in that school of bait, and they just plow through that bait. And you just
the rockfish are almost like that. It almost looks like a comet, right? And the rockfish are like the head of the comet.
They are just, you can see the individual fish in that hole. And that's what we're looking for. When I see that, everybody casts, and generally somebody or a lot of people hook up.
Well, we got one more question.
That's for May 1. When May 1 comes around, if there's still a few fish around, which is going to be interesting. There'll be some stragglers for sure. But a big spawn happened 5 days ago in the top of the Chop Tank and the top of the Susquehanna. And there'll be another one, and that might have happened today.
Well, let's hope it was a successful one.
Yeah.
We got one more question that we'll get to. This guy's asked a question before. I believe if you decipher that, I think it's North Carolina senior fish. He says, how far north have you found specks?
Eastern Bay consistently. I've caught. I caught one speck 2 years ago in the mouth of the Severn River. Now, 15 years.
So if you're from North Carolina, the mouth of the Severn River is Annapolis.
Chesapeake Bay Bridge.
Right. So it's right by the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. So
110 miles from the ocean. 12, 15 years ago, Bay Ridge, I used to catch speckled trout consistently off Bay Ridge. Recently, I got one last year, but Eastern Bay, which is another 8 miles south of Annapolis, is my consistent go-to spot now. In Eastern Bay somewhere. Yeah.
Got it. Well, we are all out of time. We got 5 minutes until the South Carolina inshore fishing report. Tom, do you have a winner for the question of the night for the?
I'm gonna give it to Corey. Welcome to the Bay, and that's a good question. Like, what is the definition of all these upper, middle, lower portions of our reports? So, yeah, good question, Corey, and welcome to the Bay, and send him some of those lures, and he can get into it.
Definitely will, Corey. You need to send me your address to admin@ admin@thefishingchannel.net. I'll put that into the chat real quick. That is admin@thefishing. Whoop, not like that, or like that. Okay, fishingchannel.net. All right. Yeah, send us your address to admin@thefishingchannel.net, and we will get these prizes out to you ASAP. Tom, always a pleasure, buddy. Good luck, man. I hope you're the first guy to post a picture of us.
I'll send it to you live. We'll give you the live, the screenshot with the time on it.
Love it. All right, brother. Have a good one, and good luck on the water tomorrow. You're back on the water tomorrow, right?
Boat goes in the water tomorrow. Fishing Saturday.
Got it. Well, go get some nice specks, buddy. Take care, everyone. See you guys in a few minutes. Jump over to the South Carolina Inshore Fishing Report.